after a little bit of rigmarole, I figure people will find me. It's been a good day so far. People like me out and about. So, if you look in the description, I checked my emails before I came back on here, and I checked my emails, and they're just threatening me, just flat out threatening me. So of course, after I get done with this, I'm gonna have to send all of that crap to the police and investigators. That's what I end up having to do. What they're upset about is because I'm going to talk about Gabe Hoffman. He's this famous producer dude, famous guy. I've had to deal with him before years and years ago. He was around and attacking me the exact same time that Craig Sawyer and Russ Dizdar were all over national television, telling people that they were trying to deal with this child trafficking, but they wanted everyone to send them a check. And Craig Sawyer and I got into a huge fight, and I said, no, I'm not, don't do that. Because if you do that, they'll have your name, they'll have your signature, they'll have your address, your bank account information, and if you lick the envelope, they're going to have your DNA too. So don't do that. But Gabe Hoffman is this dude that is a famous dude. Gabe Hoffman is the one who got Isaac Kappy deplatformed before everything went down with Isaac Kappy. And he's attacked me. I have screenshots of shit where he's attacked me. I have already sent it to police. Just the mere mention of his name freaked Thomas out. They're on top of me because they do not want me to mention this. The link in the description is how he was going to sue the victims that he put in his open secret documentary because they said that he mischaracterized the stuff, and he was going to sue him for criticizing the documentary because this dude, I guess, is wealthy. And I think he's heavily involved. I know he's heavily involved. I've had to deal with him before. And of course, they'll say that I'm crazy and that I'm a liar. What did they do with Jeffrey Epstein, with all the victims? They were crazy. They were liars. What did they say about the R. Kelly? They were crazy. They were liars. Weinstein, they were crazy. They were liars. P. Diddy, they were crazy. They were liars. See how it works? That's their MO. Anyone who comes out and says anything about them, oh, they're crazy. They're lying. This dude did a documentary, and the victims of sexual abuse that he put in this documentary criticized the documentary, and the dude who's wealthy went after them. He's gone after me before too. He calls me a liar. He calls me crazy. But he's the one who got Isaac Kappy deplatformed before Isaac Kappy ended up dead. It's all, he needs to be looked at. He needs to be looked at. Just because he's famous, just because he's wealthy. And it's interesting because Thomas first started off saying that I was a fake sodomite, which I don't even know why a straight person would pretend to be gay. I'm not straight. I was married to a dude. But he also called me Jewish. Now he's telling everybody that I'm a Holocaust denier, which is stupid. Why would anyone deny the Holocaust? My focus is I'm afraid that the kids are going through their own Holocaust and the shit's getting ready to repeat itself. That's what this group wants. The Australian dude that Kappy got wrapped up with, that Chris dude in Australia, basically is now saying that somehow it's my fault that my grandmother Shurter's family, who were Jewish, were helping Hitler. Somehow that's my fault. I wasn't even born then, but somehow it's my fault. It's not my fault. But I despised my grandmother Shurter. She didn't like me either. And I feel responsible for what my family has done in the past. I believe that the sins of the father fall upon the shoulders of the son. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. And so I do what I do because I feel like I'm responsible, like it is my responsibility to try and fix this. But they'll throw everything they can at the wall. In no way, it's pretty hard to deny the Holocaust when you can go visit Auschwitz today. You know? How do you deny something when there's physical proof that it existed? And that's what I'm going through. But in the last few days, Gabe Hoffman is a trigger for them in a way that I never realized until the last few days. That's why I say, investigators who are watching this, police, you need to look and see what this dude is involved with. Because obviously he's involved with something. They all know who he is. And they're threatening me. I'm not even supposed to mention his name. You know, he's supposed to be nameless. He's a famous dude, you know, and I'm a grown-ass adult. It's the same shit that the victims went through when they called out Epstein, when they called out Harvey Weinstein, when they called out R. Kelly, when they called out P. Diddy. It's the same shit. And it needs to be looked at because look at what happened with all of that, you know? All I'm asking for is an investigation. All I'm asking is for the law enforcement officials at least look into the situation. That's all I've been asking for the whole time. That's what they want to close down. That's why they want to stop me, you know? And it's a constant attack. Like I said, I just checked my emails. I didn't read them, but oh my God, you can tell by just the stuff that they started off with that they're threatening. They're threatening me, you know? So I'm supposed to quake in fear? I'm supposed to go hide underneath my covers? You know? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And I'm sure as fuck ain't gonna be told. The dude has attacked me. He was attacking me the exact same time that Craig Sawyer was attacking me. But Craig Sawyer stopped because people were like, well, wait a minute. You're trying to get all this money to help survivors of this abuse. And David Shurter is a survivor of this abuse. And you're attacking a survivor, the very type of people that you say that you are there to try to help. Gabe Hoffman, same fucking thing. The shit that I have screenshots of him online saying about me isn't pleasant, isn't nice. It certainly isn't. He's not talking me up, you know? And again, he needs to be investigated, flat out. And I'm not going to be told by these child traffickers what I can talk about and what I can't talk about. And Thomas will say, well, I investigated it and I found that he's totally innocent. Oh, the convicted felon did his own investigation. And the felon is now telling, because felons are all known for being truthful, right? You know, honest, forthright. Aren't all felons honest and forthright? It gets to be frustrating. This dude is a famous dude. He has that documentary, An Open Secret. You know, you can go look at it. You can go look at all the stuff, you know? But as individuals, we're supposed to call truth to power. That's what we're supposed to do. You're not just supposed to just run and hide when you see bad things happening. And I see bad things happening. I'm not the only one, you know? Isaac saw things that were happening. He ended up dead, you know? And we're supposed to take a stand. And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a stand. They need to be looked at. If there's nothing there, then why the fuck would they care about being investigated? They investigate me all the time. They stalk my ass. Fuck, let them. You know, there ain't nothing to find. You ain't going to see me threatening people to get them to stop. I don't do that. I just keep doing what I've always done. I need this shit investigated. You know, the Dead Isaac Kappy Club needs to be investigated. Isaac Kappy, when he was alive, all of the shit that he was involved with needs to be investigated. Because from what I can tell, all of his friends were criminals. You know? Yes, he ended up dead. But had I known about his life when he was alive, I already was irritated with him. He was trying to do the right thing in the end. He was trying to do the right thing. And he ended up getting murdered because he didn't commit suicide. He didn't commit suicide. The No Suicide has a deluxe 2 CD set out there. It was overkill. They're trying to convince people and it was overkill. I've never heard of anything so strange, you know? And they can say that, oh, there's a video of him on the bridge. He wasn't moving at all and he had sunglasses. It was his dead ass corpse on that bridge, you know? Because they tortured him to find out who he told what to. That's what they wanted. They wanted to find out. They won't do the shit to me because I tell everybody everything. You know, there are no secrets. I'm not hiding shit. That's the reason why they're so eager to try and get this account down, because they want all that information gone. Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, has been on top of me, well, before I even published Rabbit Hole. This got published in 2012, and he was on top of me then. Because they go after survivors. They go after victims. And they harass the fuck out of us. And if they can't harass the fuck out of us, they'll end up murdering us, just like Lori King. You know? Just like Lori King. This shit is terrible. And I am not going to be like the Germans in World War II. The ashes of my fellow human beings are not going to fall on my roof while I pretend that it's not happening. And that's what happened in Germany. If you read a history book, those ovens, the ash was falling on people's houses, and they did nothing. They said nothing because they were afraid. I'm not afraid. They're going to do whatever they're going to do to me. I can't stop any of it. They threaten me constantly. I have a bunch of threats to send to the police right now, once I get done with this, because they're threatening me, because of the shit that I'm talking about. The whole thing that I started bringing up Gabe Hoffman, who I have personal experiences with. The dude has attacked me before in the past. So, and I'm not going, you know, the whole thing about the fact that he's Jewish has nothing to do with anything. Nothing. Michael Aquino couldn't be investigated because he was a Satanist. If you investigate me, you are using religious discrimination against me. Had nothing to do with the fact that he called himself a Satanist. Nothing. You know? What? No one Jewish has ever been able to commit a crime? Is that how it works? You know? Anyone who's Satanist, they can't commit crimes because that's how it works. If you're, you know, it doesn't you can give yourself whatever title you want to give yourself. It doesn't mean that you're infallible. It doesn't mean the fact that you can't commit crimes. And the fact that they are trying to say, I am very proud of my Jewish heritage. if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have chosen to become Jewish. As it is, I'm baptized Mormon. But you can't come after me because I'm a Mormon. Yeah, that will work. You know, it has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the fact that there's criminal activity going on, and it doesn't make any difference who these people are or how they identify. A criminal is a criminal is a criminal, you know, and criminality, it goes across all specters, you know, all specters. Just because you're white doesn't mean you're not a criminal. Just because you're black doesn't mean you are a criminal. You know, see how that works? It's never an all or nothing. It needs to be investigated. And there's a long history with these people. And they're all connected. Gabe Hoffman is connected to Thomas. You know? Totally connected to Thomas. I don't even know who DeFango is. That's the other thing too is, oh, this DeFango dude. That I know of, have never had a conversation with him at all. And I don't know what I've done to give the impression that I am so easily influenced by people. Like I'm not able to hold my own opinions that are my opinions. You know, I have to have someone give me those opinions. Thomas says that the Dead Isaac Kappy Club is controlling me. The Dead Isaac Kappy Club says that Thomas is controlling me. Do I seem like I'm controlled by any of them? And if so, what exactly am I doing to give that impression? Because it's a false impression. I know this comes as a shock, but I have a fucking brain, and I use my brain all the time. I go by my own convictions. I make up my mind all by myself. You know? I don't need people to influence me. But they sure have tried. Boy, Thomas was right there, trying to influence everything about me. He runs around. He tried to tell me that I'm the one who started calling Phoenix Enigma goat face. That was never me. But Thomas tried to gaslight me to say that it was me. Not me. I'd call him the goat man. He raises goats. But I don't call him, just like I don't give a shit what Tara Joyce wears on her head. I don't care if she wears a wig. I don't care if she doesn't wear a wig. My grandmother Shurter wore a wig. My dad wore a toupee. This is my hair. Just so we're clear. Like I give a fuck. You know? It is the most bizarre arguments. It's like living in an insane asylum with a bunch of crazy people who come up with the weirdest arguments. You know? The weirdest arguments. But it has nothing to do with anything. I'm not a Nazi Holocaust survivor. I know Nazis are an issue now. It's not hard to see that Nazis are an issue now. They're all doing that salute on national television. First it was Elon Musk, then it was Steve Bannon. Stephen Miller, he's definitely a white supremacist, you know? And so it has nothing to do with any of that. I'm very proud of my Jewish heritage. I am. I'm very proud of it. And I find this might be a generalization, but I find that Jewish people are generally more educated than most people. That's just been my experience, personal experience. And I love educated people. You know, it's so much more fun to have an argument or a discussion with an educated person than it does with idiots. I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu is actually a real. I think his faith has nothing to do with anything, but his lust for power has to do everything. You know? Again, it has nothing to do with anything. Again, I think what's happening in the Gaza Strip is completely wrong, just like I think the Ukraine is completely wrong. I think Russia invaded Ukraine, obviously. Just like the January 6th stuff we watched on television wasn't a peaceful protest, you know? Wasn't a peaceful protest at all. But they will gaslight you into thinking whatever stupid thing they can. And it's all ridiculous. What I'm involved with is the child trafficking. I want it stopped. I want the people that are involved with it investigated. That includes Gabe Hoffman. He obviously knows a lot. He did a documentary called An Open Secret about it. Obviously, he has shit to contribute. He shouldn't have a problem at all having people ask him questions. He did a documentary. Wouldn't he know? But I'm not supposed to mention his name. I am getting death threats, being told that I can't mention his name. You know? And it begs the question, why? Because things do not live in a vacuum. They don't live in a vacuum. I didn't write the article for Huffington Post. It's in the description. Go read the article about the open secret dude. I didn't write that article. Have nothing to do with the Huffington Post. They didn't interview me. I didn't write the article. I certainly had nothing to do with the documentary. Don't know the victims that he's threatening to sue because they said that he totally misrepresented them. Had nothing to do with any of that. Just stating the facts. Just stating the facts. But the fact that this group has gotten their panties in a twist, the likes of which shocked even me, was a big red flashing neon sign. That's what I got from this whole situation this last week. A big flashing red neon sign. I think it needs to be looked at. That's why I'm doing this stuff for the investigators. But I have shit that I have to do today. You know, I have shit that I have to do. I was doing stuff. That's why this has been late, because I got caught up with doing stuff. I still have more shit that I have to do. You know, this does not consume my life. It doesn't. My whole life is not just based solely on all this. Yes, I do what I do to try and expose this, but it's not my whole life. And I don't want it to be, you know? But with that said, I'm going to pray. This might just be a half an hour one, you know? And I'm fine with that. I don't do any more of the videos. They got a video taken down. It's saying that I'm harassing, and the person isn't even a real person. But they're just doing whatever they can to shut me down and shut me up. And you want to know why? Because all their shit is failing. All over the place it's failing. People actually are starting to stand up for what's right. Their little bullshit, Nazi bullshit that they thought everyone was going to go run and cower from didn't happen. People aren't running. People aren't cowering. For the first time, I'm starting to get hope in humanity. Because people are actually starting to take a stand. About damn time, but better late than never. You know? It's all lies. And the truth is coming to light, Sarah. The truth is coming to light. It is coming. If they wouldn't be fighting so hard, I wouldn't have 5 emails of death threats, of threats. I don't know if they're death threats. They are threats. The title is a threat. The little shit that I read at underneath, they're threatening me, you know? So But I live in small town Iowa. There's no way people are just going to take me out and no one's going to ask questions. And not only that, but I'm well liked. You know, there's a lot of people in town who like me. It's not going to work. You ain't going to get me isolated like you got Isaac Kappy isolated. You ain't going to get me isolated like you got Lori King isolated. And a month before they murdered her, they got her to take all of her shit down. She took everything down. And she was prolific. She was a prolific survivor. She thought it would save her. It didn't save her. Right after it was over, they took her out. You know? I've watched how they've worked with people. I'm not playing those same games. You know? They can't stop people from, and nobody in town thinks I'm nuts. You know? Actually, I have people in town heralding me because I'm calling out the sheriff's department for their meth operation that they're running in the trailer park because it's an open secret. But I don't give a shit if they put a target on my back. There's already a target on my back. What are they going to do? Draw another one? They've been after me for years. Ever since I've gotten to Harlan, because Neil Gross wants to shut me up about that Earling, Iowa gas station worse than anything. And who was threatening me right up until it went off? Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Who was all involved? Who was the one that I was talking about in all those 15 videos in that protection order that they took out on me in Kent, Washington? Had nothing to do with the petitioners, only and solely talked about Doug Mesner, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Who's involved with quieting victims? Thomas, involved with quieting victims. Gabe Hoffman does a documentary and then threatens to sue the victims that were in the documentary for criticizing the documentary. Because it was all about gaslighting. That's what it was all about. Gaslighting. Directing as many, it's just like Tara Joy says, not my rabbit hole, because you're not coming down my rabbit hole. Because she'd get found out. By the way, I've never said that Tara Joyce was involved with the death of Isaac Kappy. Her fat ass wasn't on the bridge. Excuse me. I can't say that. Excuse me. She was not on the bridge with Isaac Kappy. You know? I'm the last person who should talk about anyone's weight. You know? The tractor tire around my waist is there. And there's no reason to actually, they just need to be investigated because they're all connected. Sewertown needs to be investigated because it's all connected. They're all connected. And Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and his satanic after-school daycare bullshit definitely needs to get investigated because they're on the same platforms as all the kids that they are targeting. That's what's happening. The satanic Nazi global pedo ring that the FBI busted a year ago last September, that's what they were doing. They were on all of these the internet, on all of these platforms that kids go on, getting them to do all kinds of weird shit. That's what's happening. That's why it needs to be investigated. Because that's what's happening. And Thomas, their spokesperson, the convicted felon who says he's never been in prison. So what? You're a convicted felon, but they put you, what, on probation? Is that, you get convicted of a felony and they put you on probation? Because I've never heard of such a thing. But then I've never heard of someone jumping off a bridge, supposedly committing suicide, and you can go buy a deluxe 2 CD set that involves their autopsy photos and all of the 911 phone calls and everything about Isaac Kappy going off that bridge. I've never heard of such a thing. And yet, you can go buy the deluxe 2 CD set. You know? It's all bullshit. And they are on top of me to shut me the fuck up. Because I'm not afraid of them. You know, I'm not afraid of them. They can do whatever the fuck they want. If Gabe Hoffman wants to take me to court, great, I'll just announce it because everyone will wonder why. Because all I'm asking is for him to be looked at. He did a documentary on all of this child trafficking. You would think he would want to help with an investigation. You would think, you know, he did a documentary. You would think he wanted to help. But he doesn't want his name mentioned. And all the people that surround him don't want his name mentioned. Chris, the Australian dude, threatened me not to mention his name. Threatened me. He's the dude in Australia. Never, I only know him because Thomas sicked him on me. You know? All of this needs to be investigated. Flat out, it needs to be investigated. And they can say I'm crazy, and they can say I'm a liar, but Harvey Weinstein said the same fucking thing about all the people who called him out, and he's in fucking prison now. Jeffrey Dahmer, boy, that's probably closer. Jeffrey Epstein said the same thing. They were all liars, but he died in jail because they murdered him in jail to shut him up. R. Kelly, all of his victims were crazy and liars. He's in prison. P. Diddy, all of his victims, they're crazy, they're liars. He's in fucking prison. Do you see the similarities? Do you see the pattern here? Do you see the pattern? All I'm asking for is it to be investigated. If there's nothing there, then I would think they would welcome an investigation. But they don't. They'll do everything they can to threaten and go after people to shut them up because they don't want it investigated. Just like Harvey Weinstein didn't want it investigated. Just like Jeffrey Epstein didn't want it investigated. Just like R. Kelly didn't want it investigated. Just like P. Diddy didn't want it investigated. Do you see the pattern here? Nothing exists in a vacuum. I know that that's what they want to tell you, that it's all coincidental. Everything is just happenstance. Nothing has anything to, there is no cause and effect. That physics, that rule of physics doesn't work. There's no cause and effect. You know? Something leads to something that leads to something. That doesn't work. It's all just happenstance. You know? You don't need to look at it. Fuck, just go ask the convicted felon Thomas. He'll tell you exactly what you need to know. You know? Dude, if all you have to do is talk about my looks, then you don't have much to say. That's how I look at it. You know? You think you're being clever, and I just think it's sad. They are out of power, Sarah. They are out of power. Apology accepted. I like my long hair. I do. I don't have to pay for I don't have to pay for a haircut. Dude, I'm not playing. Just not playing anymore. You know? I think it all needs to be investigated. And I think all of these fucking criminals are telling you. And Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, will say, well, I've never been convicted of a crime. Dude, that's only because no one's ever really looked at you. But they need to look at you. Because if they did, you would. But you're protected by your group. And who is the head of that group? For the longest, Colonel Michael Aquino. Colonel Michael Aquino, who couldn't be investigated, even though he was not only involved with Mark Martin, but Presidio. The Presidio case was worse than McMartin. But they said they couldn't investigate Colonel Michael Aquino, not because he was a Satanist, but because it dealt with national security. Hey, Saki. Hey, Katie. Because of national security. Again, I don't know what abusing kids and widespread child abuse has to do with national security. Had never understood that. But I'm not calling out Gabe Hoffman because he's Jewish. I could give a fuck less if he was Jewish. You know, I could give a fuck less. I think he needs to be investigated because I think he's a criminal. You know, I think Doug Mesner, aka Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, needs to be investigated. But he's not a Satanist. He's on record saying he's an atheist. So how do you religiously discriminate against an atheist? They'll mention any name, any label they can to convince you why they shouldn't be looked at, why they shouldn't be investigated. They'll give you whatever they want. You know? I'm very proud of my Jewish heritage. I'm not proud of the fact that my grandmother Shurter's family helped Hitler. But back then, I would have fought Hitler. I would have stood up. Just like I'm standing up now. But you want to know what? I'm not responsible for the actions of people when I wasn't even a thought. My dad wasn't even a thought. So how was I supposed to control a group of people when I wasn't even alive? I hadn't even been born yet. You know, I wasn't even born until 66. So why am I responsible for what they did? You know, I'm trying to make amends for the damage my family has done. My dad, the child killer, all of that shit falls on my shoulders because he's my dad. The sins of the father fall upon the shoulders of the son. That's how it works. Is it fair? Probably not. Is it fun? Definitely not. Is it the way it is? Yeah, that's what I think. I owe a responsibility because of my family's crimes. That's why I'm here. That's why I've been here for as long as I have. That's why I'm never going to go away. Because I feel a responsibility because of my family's crimes. My stepmother, she can go fuck herself. She ate blood. She's nothing to me. Piece of shit. That's what I think of her. Always have. She was killing kids right along with my dad. They were involved. They were the ones who were involved with Ricky Chaddick. They were the man and woman in the white Cadillac. That white Cadillac was my grandmother Shurter's. But the police protect them. My police in town protect them because they want to hide their meth operation that Deputy Schoen is going down there and involved with. The fact that that person told me what they did that day, and that was all God. That was all heaven. There was no way that that was a setup. No one could have foretold that I was going to even go in the place. And so, you know, Jesus Christ can and will break all ancestral curses, you know. But my family, I owe a debt because of what my family was involved with, you know, what my dad was involved with, you know. And I know he was involved because as a kid I was there. But I'm responsible for all the adults in Hummel Park. Under the age of 10, I'm responsible. You know, how does that fucking work? What, at 8 years old, I didn't have the authority to tell them to stop killing kids at Hummel Park. I was basically just trying to survive myself, you know? But none of the adults have anything to do with anything. And this group will say how they go on and on. It's just, but I'm going to pray because I want to get off here. It's a beautiful day and I have shit I want to do. And I'd like to go outside and I have some people that I have to go visit. So I'm going to get off here. I wanted to do this. Go check out the link that I put in the description and see what you think. Again, I don't work for Huffington Post. I didn't write the article. I had nothing to do with any of it, you know? But I've been attacked by Gabe Hoffman before. And I with my personal experience, know that he's heavily involved with all this bullshit and needs to be investigated, along with Thomas and the Dead Isaac Kappy Club. Investigate Isaac Kappy, you'll find out a lot of shit. The dude was involved with a lot of bad people. You know, in the end, he was trying to do the right thing, but that wasn't always the case. There's a reason why the criminals he was all enmeshed with ended up taking him out. There's a reason why. But with that said, I'm going to pray. Father, we come to you. I come to you. I'm tired of this fight, and yet I know that I'm here and you have me here because you know my heart and you know that I will never stop. I will never stop. And I am not afraid because you're with me. No matter what happens, you are with me. No matter what happens. And that means if they came and got me and did the same thing that they did to Isaac, I still wouldn't be afraid because you're with me. And the Beatitudes, those who seek justice will get justice in the end. And I believe that. And I just hope that my words and what I'm doing inspire people to find the grace within themselves and the strength to take a stand themselves. Yes, it's scary and it can be very intimidating. But as long as you're with us and our heart is full with the word, I think everything will be okay. I think we're going to be all okay. I just want to serve. Thomas will say that I've done nothing in my life, and yet that is so not the truth. I haven't been in prison. That's one thing that he has over me. Never got convicted of a felon, But I digress. I'm grateful that you sent your son, our brother, Jesus Christ, to show us the word. And I wouldn't be where I'm at now without it. So I thank you. And I just ask that you help me inspire others to find the strength within themselves to glorify you and the word by standing tall and strong and speaking truth to power. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're the only power any of us need to be concerned with. The rest of them can go to hell. And I think that's where they're headed. I say these things lovingly in your Son, our brother, Jesus Christ. Amen. Kind of a harsh prayer, but, I'm tired of the constant battle, the constant fight. I'm tired of the insults and the threats and all of the bullshit that I have to go through. What I've had to do has not been pleasant, hasn't been fun. It has sucked. And yet, what am I going to do? I just think it's what God expects of me. And I'm going to rise to the challenge any way I can, every time. And with that said, get off here, go enjoy the day, while we still have it. The planetary, we have a blood eclipse tonight and a planetary alignment of all 7 planets tomorrow. Mercury takes its place tomorrow. The gravitational pull of everything that's going on, I have a feeling is going to have an effect. So enjoy life while you can. Because I think that God is about ready to act in a way that I'm not sure any of us are going to really like. So with that said, love you guys. Fill your hearts with love. Fill your hearts with love. Save your souls.